what was coming up here, and I think what kind of kicked this off a little bit. I want to mention I watched your boy Tiki Barber on the Tiki and Tierney show, and you told me you watch it all the time, right?
Yes.
Okay, I really don't. And again, they don't just talk about football, even though Tiki Barber was a football player. You know, they talk about a lot of different stuff. Um, but Tiki did a segment on the lack of black GMs and assistant GMs. And as far as I was concerned, he got elevated to hero status. Because the bottom line is that the color line in the NFL changes when the decision makers for that title is top to bottom or owner on down. So if you're hiring a offensive coordinator or if you are drafting players, that's coming from your GM pretty much and your coaching. So if 70% of your players, you know, are people of color, African American or whatever, then that hiring that's who they've hired. So you can't say, well, you don't have enough black football players. You can't say that at all, right? But when the hiring changes from the owner and his job, and as the owner, he's going to hire the GM, and the GM is going to hire the coach. So that authority is top down. And so what happened was, even, you know, as I was listening to him, I'm like, well, number one, Tiki, I got to give you kudos for even going there. Because we all know that the owners are pretty much Trump Republicans. And so once that happens, you know, then what does that tell you? You know, and I think it's what's his name? He keeps saying how quiet the owner of the Cowboys is. With all of the stuff that's going on in the social movement, you're not hearing a peep from this guy. And I think that that's probably to some degree to be, if you look across all 32 teams, it's probably more true than not true. You know, and it also brings up the point in a lot of situations with corporate America and those people where a lot of these people, they donate to both parties indiscriminately, almost like that's just the cost of doing business. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, you know. So there's no actual valuation of the people that they're giving money to. It's just, this is just the money as we dole it out. And I think that that's becoming problematic in today's time, you know, as highly partisan as we are with the discussions of racism. And that's what Jemele Hill pulled out in this article. She said the NFL can't fight racism when the owners are supporting Trump, you know, because he is their hero of the racist. He's their hero. And I said it, so I'll say it again, you know. That's why she left ESPN in the first place, is because she was speaking out. Now she has a forum to speak out. But it was just interesting that I heard that same story, one from Tiki and then the other from Jemele Hill, you know, in that same week. And I believe that it's true. And that's where you're going to have a problem, because as we said before, the NFL corporate office is one thing. But every team, that's a franchise. They're not even a normal franchise. They're much more independent than an average, like a McDonald's franchise. They do what McDonald's says for the most part. But these guys all have their own opinions, and they're somewhat independent. And I think the classic example is probably the Patriots owner, because one minute he's supporting Meek Mills. And next minute, he's got his arms around Donald Trump. So you don't know, we don't really know where your heart is, but we kind of understand that in the big business world, that's kind of what people do.
Exactly.
And I think that that's coming under scrutiny now in today's time. And that's mainly the point of that conversation.
The thing is, it can come under scrutiny all it wants to, but that's their business. That's the way they choose to run their business. You can come at them for doing something or being a way that you don't agree with, or something that you don't like, okay? For all Donald Trump's faults, and he's got plenty, okay? If an owner of a football team puts his arm around Trump and professes his support for him, are you going to stop being a fan of that team? You know what I mean? That's probably not going to happen, because you understand that that's just how that guy feels. However, the thought process needs to go to, if in fact these owners like Donald Trump because he's Donald Trump, because he thinks certain ways about certain things, because they agree with his politics and the way that he looks at the world and the way that he looks at people of color, if they agree with that, then chances are that has a lot to do with why there's no black GMs or black assistant GMs. That's the answer to your question. But, you know, the only way you would find that out is if you interviewed each owner and asked them and they honestly answered. And that's probably not going to happen. And so to avoid some of that, and maybe even from the goodness of their hearts, they do what Kraft does, and they do what some of the other owners do. They will champion certain causes, and they will give donations to certain things where people of color care about and are interested in, or have something to do with. They'll do those things, but again, that comes under the cost of business, like you said. And I can't fault them for that. I wouldn't want them. I wouldn't say, yo, you're a Trump supporter, so don't give me no money. I'm not going to say that. But the fact that Jerry Jones is being so quiet, oh, that's definitely on purpose. There's no doubt about it. As much as that guy likes to talk and as opinionated as he is, he's smart enough to know that I'm staying away from this. You will not hear me utter Black Lives Matter one way or the other. I'm not getting into that. I do not want that smoke. And he's probably smart to be quiet. It makes people look at him sideways, but he kind of knows that if I say what I want to say, he don't want to lie, because people will see right through it. And if he says how he really feels, it's going to have a negative impact on him. That's the way I look at it. So he's just being quiet. And sometimes when you're talking about people like him in situations like this or like these, being quiet pretty much tells the story.